What if I told you that the secret to success is not hidden in a book, a degree, luck, or connections? What if the real secret has been living inside your mind this entire time? And what if the only thing separating you from wealth, peace, impact, and fulfillment is the way you think every single day? Stay with me carefully, because what you are about to hear may completely change the direction of your life. You become what you think about. Your dominant thoughts determine the direction of your life, whether you realize it or not. Every day, quietly and invisibly, your mind is shaping your future. The thoughts you repeat are not harmless. They are seeds, and those seeds are being planted in the soil of your heart. If a person constantly thinks, "I am not enough," life begins to echo that belief. Opportunities are ignored. Confidence weakens. Courage fades before it even has a chance to rise. But when a person begins to think, "I was created with purpose. I was designed with intention. I am capable because the one who created me does not make mistakes," something shifts inside. The shoulders straighten. The eyes lift. The walk changes. Your mind is not just a thinking machine. It is a compass. And whatever direction your thoughts consistently point toward, your life begins to follow. There is a deep spiritual truth in this. As a person thinks in their heart, so they become. If you fill your mind with fear, you slowly build a prison without walls. If you fill your mind with faith, you build strength even in storms. If you meditate on defeat, your spirit grows heavy. But if you meditate on gratitude, on purpose, on divine promises, your spirit rises even before your circumstances change. Think about the emotional weight of this. Every regret you carry often began as a thought you entertained too long. Every breakthrough you admire in someone else began as a thought they refused to let die. Before there was success, there was belief. Before there was achievement, there was a decision in the mind. What you repeatedly tell yourself becomes your internal truth, and your internal truth becomes your external reality. If you constantly replay pain, betrayal, and failure in your mind, you relive it daily. You allow yesterday to steal today. But when you choose to think about growth, forgiveness, strength, and divine guidance, you begin to release chains you didn't even realize you were holding. Your thoughts are powerful because they shape your identity, and identity shapes behavior. When you think, "I am disciplined," you act with discipline. When you think, "I am weak," you hesitate. When you think, "God is with me," fear loses its dominance. When you think, "I am alone," anxiety takes control. There is a reason we are instructed to guard our hearts and renew our minds, because the battlefield of your destiny is not outside you. It is within you. The enemy of your growth does not always appear as a person. Sometimes it appears as a quiet, repeated thought whispering that you cannot, that you should not, that you will fail. And if you accept that whisper long enough, it becomes your reality. But imagine the emotional power of choosing differently. Imagine waking up and intentionally directing your thoughts toward gratitude instead of complaint, toward purpose instead of confusion, toward faith instead of fear. Imagine reminding yourself daily that you were created with intention, that your life has meaning, that your struggles are not punishment but preparation. Your dominant thoughts are forming your character. They are shaping your reactions. They are building or breaking your confidence. They are determining whether you shrink back or step forward. You do not accidentally arrive at greatness. You think your way there. You believe your way there. You focus your way there. And if you allow doubt to dominate your thinking, you slowly shrink into a smaller version of who you were meant to be. But if you allow faith, vision, and purpose to dominate your thinking, you begin to expand into the person you were designed to become. Your life is moving in the direction of your strongest thoughts, right now, quietly, steadily, powerfully. When the mind is unclear, energy is scattered. You may be busy, but you are not effective. You may be moving, but you are not advancing. Without a clear target, effort becomes noise. You wake up reacting instead of directing. You work hard, yet feel empty. You try many things, yet master nothing. That is the cost of confusion. But the moment a goal becomes definite, something powerful happens inside you. Your thoughts begin to organize themselves. Your decisions become sharper. Distractions lose their charm. Time suddenly feels valuable. Energy that was once wasted on worry and comparison becomes focused on execution. Clarity turns effort into momentum. A definite goal acts like a lens. Scattered sunlight warms. Focused sunlight burns. In the same way, scattered thinking produces average results. Focused thinking produces breakthroughs. There is also a spiritual dimension to clarity. When your intention is clear, your heart becomes aligned. You stop chasing everything and start pursuing what truly matters. You begin to pray with direction instead of desperation. You ask with conviction instead of confusion. Faith becomes stronger when it has a vision attached to it. When you know where you are going, even struggle gains meaning. Pain is no longer random. Delays are no longer defeats. Obstacles are no longer signals to quit, they become part of the path. Clarity removes fear because fear thrives in uncertainty. When you lack direction, every opinion shakes you. Every setback discourages you. Every delay feels like failure. But when your goal is clear, criticism becomes background noise. You are no longer easily moved by temporary discomfort because you are anchored to a permanent vision. Think about the emotional weight of drifting through life without a goal. The quiet frustration, the hidden regret, watching others progress while you remain uncertain. That heaviness does not come from lack of ability. It comes from lack of direction. A definite goal gives your mind something constructive to return to. Instead of replaying doubts, you replay your vision. Instead of imagining worst-case scenarios, you visualize progress. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask, how does this move me closer to where I am meant to be? Your subconscious mind responds to clarity. It begins searching for solutions. It notices opportunities that were always there but previously ignored. It strengthens habits that support your aim. It weakens behaviors that contradict it. Without clarity, discipline feels forced. With clarity, discipline feels necessary. When you know exactly what you want, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop postponing growth. You stop settling for comfort that steals your future. You understand that every action either feeds your goal or starves it. Clarity creates urgency. It creates responsibility. It creates alignment between belief and behavior. And when your thoughts, faith, and actions are all pointed in one clear direction, your energy is no longer divided. It becomes powerful, concentrated, and productive. It does not argue with you. It does not judge what you give it. It simply receives, nourishes, and multiplies. Just like rich earth beneath a field, your mind accepts every seed, fear, or faith, doubt or confidence, gratitude or bitterness, and quietly begins the process of growth. If you plant seeds of worry every day, replaying worst-case scenarios, imagining failure, expecting rejection, your mind will cultivate anxiety. It will strengthen those roots until they feel natural. Soon, fear will no longer feel like a visitor, it will feel like your identity. But if you plant seeds of belief, discipline, courage, and divine trust, something entirely different begins to grow. Confidence takes root. Resilience strengthens. Hope rises. And slowly, your inner landscape transforms. The soil does not decide the harvest. The sower does. There is a deep spiritual truth in this principle. What you sow, you reap. Not only in actions, but in thoughts. Every repeated thought is a seed placed into the unseen ground of your spirit. Every meditation, every internal conversation, every belief you entertain is shaping tomorrow's harvest. If you constantly tell yourself that you are limited, unworthy, or incapable, you are watering those lies. If you constantly remind yourself that you were created with intention, that your life carries purpose, that your Creator does not design failure without reason, you are nurturing strength from within, and the growth is quiet. Seeds do not scream while they grow. They develop beneath the surface. In the same way, your mindset forms in silence. No one sees it at first. But one day, the results appear in your attitude, your habits, your courage, your discipline, your peace. Consider the emotional weight of negative planting. One careless thought repeated daily becomes a belief. That belief shapes decisions. Those decisions shape direction. And suddenly, years have passed under the shadow of something that began as a small mental seed. But imagine the power of intentional planting. Imagine waking up and deliberately sowing gratitude instead of complaint, faith instead of fear, vision instead of confusion. Imagine guarding your mind as carefully as a farmer guards his field, refusing to allow weeds of jealousy, resentment, or doubt to take root. Because weeds grow naturally. Crops grow intentionally. Left unattended, the mind will fill with comparison, insecurity, and distraction. It absorbs what it is repeatedly exposed to: conversations, media, criticism, past pain. If you do not choose your seeds carefully, the world will choose them for you. And yet, the same soil that grows fear can grow faith. The same mind that once produced doubt can produce determination. The transformation does not require new soil. It requires new seeds. Your dominant thoughts are not harmless. They are alive. They are growing. They are either preparing you for victory or conditioning you for limitation. Every time you meditate on purpose, you strengthen purpose. Every time you focus on opportunity, you train your mind to recognize opportunity. Every time you dwell on divine promises and inner strength, you deepen your spiritual roots. And roots determine stability. When storms come, and they always come, shallow roots collapse. But deep roots hold firm. The person who has planted faith consistently does not panic easily. The one who has cultivated gratitude does not break under pressure. The one who has sown discipline does not abandon the field at the first sign of difficulty. The mind is fertile soil. It is always growing something. The only question is what you are planting today. You do not act randomly. You act consistently with what you believe to be true about yourself, about life, and about what is possible for you. Long before behavior becomes visible, it was rehearsed in the mind. Long before a decision is made, it was influenced by a belief quietly sitting beneath the surface. If a person believes they are incapable, they hesitate. If they believe they are destined to fail, they avoid risk. If they believe they are unworthy, they settle for less than they deserve. Their behavior is not accidental. It is aligned with their inner narrative. But when someone believes they were created with purpose, when they truly accept that their life carries meaning and that their Creator does not assign value randomly, their posture changes. They step forward instead of shrinking back. They attempt instead of assuming defeat. They persevere because their belief system fuels their behavior. Your mind is the command center. Behavior is simply the execution. What you focus on repeatedly becomes your internal truth, and your internal truth becomes your external pattern. If you constantly focus on obstacles, your behavior becomes cautious and defensive. If you focus on opportunity, your behavior becomes proactive and bold. There is a spiritual law at work here. Faith is not just a feeling, it is a force that directs action. When you believe that you are supported, guided, and strengthened beyond your own limitations, courage rises naturally. But when you believe you are alone, unsupported, or destined to struggle without purpose, fear dictates your choices. Every action you take is a reflection of what you believe deep inside. Think about the emotional impact of this. How many dreams have been abandoned, not because of lack of ability, but because of a belief that whispered, "You are not enough"? How many opportunities were ignored because the mind focused more on embarrassment than on possibility? Your behavior reveals your dominant thoughts. If you believe discipline is painful and unfair, you will avoid it. If you believe discipline is an act of self-respect and obedience to a higher calling, you will embrace it. If you believe setbacks are proof of failure, you will quit. If you believe setbacks are preparation and refinement, you will endure. The shift begins in the mind. When you change what you believe about yourself, your actions automatically begin to adjust. When you decide deeply and spiritually that your life has responsibility attached to it, that your time is sacred, that your talents are entrusted to you for a reason, laziness feels heavier. Procrastination feels like betrayal. Excellence feels like obedience. This is why guarding your thoughts is essential, because thoughts repeated become beliefs. Beliefs reinforced become habits. Habits practiced become character, and character determines destiny. If your mental focus is scattered, your behavior will be inconsistent. If your focus is intentional, your behavior becomes aligned. You cannot think carelessly and expect disciplined action. You cannot meditate on negativity and expect positive behavior. The mind always leads. The body follows. And when you intentionally fill your mind with truth, purpose, gratitude, and divine awareness, your behavior begins to reflect strength instead of weakness, courage instead of hesitation, discipline instead of impulse. Your actions are not separate from your thoughts. They are the evidence of them. Drifting is subtle. It does not feel dangerous at first. It feels comfortable. It feels easy. You wake up, respond to whatever demands your attention, pass the hours, and call it a day. There is movement, but no direction. Activity, but no advancement. Noise, but no progress. And slowly, almost invisibly, average becomes normal. When a person has no definite purpose, their energy is divided. They chase what feels urgent instead of what is important. They start many things but complete few. They become busy reacting rather than disciplined in building. And at the end of the week, the month, the year, they wonder why nothing truly changed. Effort without purpose is like rowing without a destination. You may exhaust yourself, but you will circle the same waters. Drifting is dangerous because it feels harmless. There is no dramatic failure, no sudden collapse, just slow compromise. A little less discipline, a little more delay, a little more comfort, a little less conviction. And comfort, when not guided by purpose, becomes a quiet thief. There is a spiritual weight to drifting. When you are created with intention, living without intention creates inner conflict. When you are designed with potential, ignoring that potential produces frustration. The restlessness you feel at night is often not confusion, it is misalignment. It is the soul recognizing that it was meant to move with direction, not drift with circumstance. Without purpose, distractions become powerful. Other people's opinions become controlling. Trends become tempting. You begin comparing instead of committing. You begin reacting instead of leading your own life. Purpose anchors you. Without it, you are pulled by every current. Think about the emotional cost of drifting, the regret of wasted time, the quiet jealousy of watching others advance, the heavy realization that years passed in survival mode instead of growth mode. That pain does not come from lack of talent. It comes from lack of direction. When there is no clear aim, discipline feels unnecessary. Why sacrifice if there is nowhere specific to go? Why endure discomfort if there is no defined reward? And so effort becomes inconsistent. Motivation rises and falls. Commitment weakens. But when purpose is clear, effort sharpens. Energy organizes. Decisions simplify. Even sacrifice feels meaningful. Drifting makes life reactive. Purpose makes life intentional. When you drift, you allow circumstances to define you. When you live with purpose, you define your response to circumstances. One leads to mediocrity, the other leads to mastery. Mediocrity is not usually the result of incapability. It is the result of unfocused living. It is the product of scattered effort applied without direction. It is potential left unattended. And unattended potential does not remain powerful. It fades. You are not designed to wander without aim. You were entrusted with time, talent, and breath for a reason. To drift through that gift is to slowly disconnect from the very meaning of it. Without purpose, effort weakens. With purpose, effort multiplies. The law does not respond to intensity alone. It responds to repetition. A single day of motivation changes very little. A single moment of belief, though powerful, is not enough to transform a life. But when belief is repeated, when focus is sustained, when a goal is returned to again and again in the mind, something begins to shift beneath the surface. Consistency is quiet power. It does not announce itself. It does not demand applause. It simply shows up daily, faithfully, steadily. And because of that, it activates forces most people never experience. Not because they lack ability, but because they lack endurance. The mind obeys what it hears most often. If you repeat doubt daily, doubt becomes dominant. If you repeat faith daily, faith becomes natural. If you consistently focus on your purpose, your subconscious begins aligning your behavior, your decisions, even your emotional reactions with that purpose. This is not magic, it is law. Just as water shapes stone not by force but by persistence, focused thinking shapes destiny through repetition. The person who meditates on growth begins to see growth. The one who reflects daily on gratitude begins to feel peace. The one who rehearses their vision in their mind begins to move toward it almost automatically. There is a spiritual rhythm to consistency. Discipline practiced daily becomes devotion. Focus practiced daily becomes clarity. Prayer practiced daily becomes strength. You cannot expect spiritual confidence if your faith is occasional. You cannot expect mental transformation if your thinking is inconsistent. Repetition rewires identity. At first, new thoughts feel unnatural. When you begin telling yourself that you are capable, worthy, guided, and purposeful, it may feel unfamiliar. But with repetition, the unfamiliar becomes familiar. The mind accepts what it hears consistently. Think about the emotional impact of this truth. Every great achievement you admire was built quietly. Every strong character was formed through repeated decisions. Every resilient spirit was shaped by returning to faith again and again, especially when circumstances suggested otherwise. Consistency is proof of belief. When you return to your goal daily, even when results are invisible, you declare that you trust the process. When you focus your thoughts deliberately, even when distractions call for attention, you strengthen your mental authority. When you choose disciplined thinking over emotional reaction, you activate growth that compounds over time. Most people quit before the law has time to respond. They plant seeds and dig them up a week later to check for progress. They believe for a moment, then surrender to fear. They focus briefly, then scatter their attention again. But the law responds to persistence. Repeated, focused thinking builds conviction. Conviction builds action. Action repeated builds results. And results, over time, become measurable, undeniable evidence of what once existed only in the mind. Consistency is not glamorous. It is not dramatic. But it is transformative. Because when your thoughts are aligned daily with your purpose, when your focus remains steady despite obstacles, when your belief is practiced instead of merely spoken, you begin to witness the quiet power of the law unfolding in your life. Most people misunderstand freedom. They believe freedom means the absence of pressure, the removal of limits, the ability to do whatever they feel in the moment. But that kind of freedom is fragile. It leads to emotional decisions, scattered focus, and eventually regret. True freedom begins with responsibility. The moment you accept that your thoughts are yours to govern, everything changes. Blame loses its power. Excuses weaken. Complaints begin to sound hollow. You realize that while you may not control every circumstance, you absolutely control your response to it. And in that response lies your future. When you refuse responsibility for your thinking, you hand your destiny to other people's opinions. A single criticism can discourage you. A single setback can define you. A single delay can convince you to quit. Your emotional state becomes dependent on external conditions. But when you take responsibility for your mind, you reclaim authority. You decide what deserves your focus. You decide which thoughts are permitted to stay. You decide whether fear will dominate or faith will rise. You decide whether a mistake becomes a lesson or a life sentence. This is where spiritual maturity begins. You cannot claim trust in divine guidance while constantly entertaining doubt. You cannot pray for strength while rehearsing weakness in your mind. Responsibility means aligning your thoughts with truth, with purpose, with the higher calling placed on your life. When you discipline your thinking, you create internal order, and internal order produces external stability. Think about the emotional relief that comes with this realization. You are not trapped by your past. You are not chained to someone else's expectations. You are not permanently defined by one failure. The moment you accept responsibility for your thoughts, you step into creative power. Because your future is built first in the mind. If you continuously think like a victim, you behave like one. If you continuously think like a leader, you prepare like one. If you think in terms of growth, you endure pain differently. If you think in terms of purpose, you sacrifice differently. Responsibility removes the illusion that life is simply happening to you. It reminds you that you are participating in its creation through your daily mental habits. There is weight in that truth, but there is also liberation. You no longer wait for motivation. You create it through disciplined focus. You no longer wait for confidence. You build it through intentional belief. You no longer wait for opportunity. You prepare yourself mentally so thoroughly that when opportunity appears, you are ready. Freedom is not found in escaping responsibility. It is found in embracing it. When you govern your thoughts, you govern your reactions. When you govern your reactions, you govern your habits. When you govern your habits, you govern your direction. And direction, sustained over time, becomes destiny. If there is one decision you make today, let it be this. Guard your thoughts. Direct your focus. Choose your goal. Think about it daily. Act on it consistently. Because the strangest secret is not hidden from you. It is waiting for you to use it.